name is Jack Dangermond. I'm with Environmental Systems Research Institute, but most people know that as Esri. This technology basically abstracts our world in digital form. You can think of it as maps or map layers. So it abstracts vegetation, geology, water, people, buildings, land use. All of these things are ways that our science and our technologies take the real world and make a kind of digital twin. And my users, and there are millions of them, bring this information together so they can see and understand what's going on. And that could be what's going on with the environment or what's going on with the city or urban development. And then they use that understanding to be able to do normal things that people do. Plan, develop, do forestry, do conservation protection, that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you. So do you think that GIS can help in also social science and the educational field to awareness, to grow awareness regarding sustainability and regarding environmental issues, right?
Yeah, my main interest is abstracting the world into digital layers of information. And some of those are physical, environmental layers, but other ones are social, like demographics or cultural backgrounds. And also some of them are economic. So the sort of economic, environment, and social can be brought together through the science of geography. And digitally, we do that by having different map layers represent each of those fields. And what that means is the maps can be a platform for people to make decisions. By overlaying these layers, they not only describe our world, but they also are a platform for making decisions. Very practical. Most people say, okay, Starbucks, they drink coffee. How do they locate all their stores? They bring together environmental data, demographic data, economic data. They combine it in a model, a geographic model that shows the best place. In the program of 30 by 30, people want to know what areas to put into the 30% for protection. And they're usually areas of high biodiversity or fragile environments. That kind of decision making is supported by bringing the layers together and then weighting them based on what people feel is important. So wetlands may be more important than arid landscapes. So they show up with brighter colors on the map, and people can say, let's protect this area, not that area.
Okay. And during your presentation today, and also now, you talked about make decision. Which decision people should make for a better future to get out of the Anthropocene, in your opinion?
Well, the big challenges that we're facing is climate change, as everyone knows. Maybe not everyone, but people are beginning to realize it. And that's being driven by carbon. So people can talk about being nicey about the environment, but one of the things we must do really quickly is shut carbon down. And everybody's bought into carbon as the basic energy source. It's helped us do amazing things. I mean, it's driven industry. It's supporting our whole lifestyle, how we eat, how we live, how we grow food. But that's now out of control. It's out of balance with our ability to sequester carbon. So using maps, the way I see it, is there's areas that are over-emitting carbon and areas that are sequestering. And that is like money, like running a household. Today we're out of balance with respect to carbon. We're producing too much. That's what's leading to climate change. So to answer your question more directly, we need to shut down carbon. And then we also need to protect biodiversity, those areas that are the most important feeding grounds, supporting grounds that support diversity of life. And those two elements, most people agree, are not only important independently, but they're also important together. because high, rich biodiversity areas are a sink that pulls carbon into it. So my background is landscape architecture, not landscaping, but study of the landscape, and that's really geography. So people relate to location or where, like make it real. Where were you born? Where did you have your first memory of wanting to go to school? Where did you first learn about uh, the environment? Where do you live? All of these things are very much connected in our brain. So my whole life has been about where, the science of where, or the science of geography, and applying all that where knowledge into the way people actually make decisions. Some people like to live in a forest, and they'd like to have a map to know that. Some people like to live in the desert. They'd like to have guidance for that. So right inside of human beings, how we behave is this wiring in our brain about where, and maps immediately are understood because they're all about where, and bringing that knowledge of where together to the way that humans behave at the personal level, or at the family level, or at the community level, you know, or at the regional level, or at the national level. These are all important, except now it's going a step further. We are losing this battle of climate, and that's a global thing. And modeling the ecosystem as a whole, modeling the world as a whole, requires our best science. And it's not just going to be our best science. Science people will love that. They do more science. It's also our best technology that can empower science and drive it. And finally, it's all about our best design and creative thinking so that we can create solutions. It's not just joining the band, being in the ecosystem band. That's not enough. It's not enough to be just aware of what's going on. We need to activate at the top of government, but also in the human behavior of every individual. This making the little steps, making the little changes, making little corrections that will actually rebalance or out of balance humans versus nature. And when you use the word the Anthropocene, what it means is that humans are now in such a dominant position. We are so successful that we're actually controlling the evolution of the planet. And for some people, they will not like that notion, but I like it. My original training was landscape architecture, as I mentioned.
Okay.
And so people think about gardening, and they design their gardens, they manage their gardens, they pull out weeds, they water the plants.
Please make your way to Hall 2 for the next plenary session.
And now we must have that same kind of philosophy about conservation and our environment. We must move from conservation and the environment, from a preservation philosophy to a creation philosophy. So we've lost so much that we now needs to go in the other direction, creating, or it's sometimes called rewilding or recreating nature. So using, again, maps and computational geography, we can model where things will have to move. And it's very easy for some species to move, but other species like old trees or complete habitats, you can't just pick them up and move them like a game. They need to be transitioned.
Thank you so much for your.
I'm sorry to blather on here and talk.
That's fine. Just a short sentence for the World Environmental Education Congress. So,
Well,
if you can, just in a short sentence, summary for the Congress and for the auspicious for the next Congress, and also what is your opinion for the future in where Education Congress should be focused on?
Well, this is an important conference. And I think you've done a fantastic job bringing together educators and people that care about education and environmentalists and people who care about environment into a kind of community. And talking and listening, creating better understanding is very important. So I'll say this for the organizers, that the organizers and the work that they have done and how they've done this work is both impressive, but more importantly, very important. And how you chose to do this, or some of you will believe that you were chosen to do this. This is major footprints in what we must do today, which is to get people to understand both the environment and program in our education efforts what must be understood by all the next generation. And history will tell whether you are successful in this endeavor.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for
my pleasure.
my pleasure.